What's up guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another G80 M3 DIY video. And this video is actually going to be part 2 of my AST lowering spring install. So on a previous video, you would see that we did the fronts and I showed you guys exactly how to do that. So today we're going to be doing that same process on the rear. And again, huge shout out to the guys over at Keys Motorsports, Brian and the team, for sending over AST lowering springs for the G80 M3. We're gonna make this thing look so much better now that it, is gonna have a drop. And I did drive the car actually earlier today, and as you guys can see, the front is already starting to settle a little bit, and it looks really good. It's pretty low, so I'm excited to get the rear done. Let's get on to the install. All right guys, so I went ahead and did the driver's side off camera here just to make sure I don't have any weird issues. It's actually very, very simple and easy to do. Take literally one bolt and one nut out, drop the suspension, pull the spring out, swap in the new one, put it all back together. So very, very simple. And what's funny is, like, when I remember doing this on my KW HAS on my last G80, it was really hard for me to realign the swing arm bolt for some reason down there on that car. But this one went right up, no problems at all. And again, I did this completely by myself. Last time with the blue G80, I had my friend Tim come over to help me kind of hold things into place while one of us put the screw and the nut back through. So I don't know what the deal was with that one, but this was a piece of cake. So I'm going to show you guys the process for the passenger side rear. And I'm going to jack this up, take the wheel off, and I'll come right back to you. And again, as far as tools, this is really all I have right here. These are for my wheels. So you're going to need a 21. It's a 21 millimeter socket. The impact really comes in handy because the bolt is like this long and it's very, very tight. So I've got my impact here. I additionally also have a 21 wrench because you're not going to have very much space. So I highly recommend getting a wrench for the nut side and then using the impact with a 21 socket for the bolt side. And then I also have my large 3/4 inch ratchet here. This is really to break it loose, and then I kind of used the ratchet to get it the rest of the way. And again, you're gonna need 2 jacks for this, one to raise the car, and I'm using my air jack. Again, you can use a regular jack or whatever, because what you wanna do is jack up the swing arm, because you're not gonna be able to push it up manually by hand. So having a second jack to help push that swing arm back up to realign the bolt is really what you need. Additionally, a light, and otherwise that should be it. And once you've got your wheel off, you can climb down under here and I can kind of show you what we've got going on. So here is the swing arm. On the driver's side right here, there is a leveling sensor. So you just want to make sure you take that off on the driver's side. It's going to be a 10 millimeter screw right here that you just need to disconnect and move the sensor out of the way. But otherwise, this is exactly the same on the passenger side, with the exception of that leveling sensor. So make sure you take that off, otherwise you will break it. So in terms of things to take off, do not mess with this one. You don't need to. This is more for adjusting, I believe, toe or camber, one of the two. So don't mess with that one because you will jack up your alignment. This one you don't need to remove unless you're pulling out the entire strut, which in our case, we're only replacing the spring. We don't need to disconnect any lines or anything like that up here, any sensors or anything like that. The only bolt that we're going to remove is this long one back here on the swing arm. So basically this is a 21 really long bolt that goes this direction, and then on the other side is a 21 nut. And so what I was saying before, you're gonna need a wrench because you are very limited on space back here. So if you guys can see, this is the nut back here, right here on this side of the swing arm. That is the nut that you're going to need to remove, but you'll see that the sway bar or this large tube here, whatever that goes to, sway bar I believe, is in the way. So you're not going to be able to put a ratchet on there. So this is why you need a 21-inch wrench for the nut side. So basically that's all I'm going to do is I'm going to put a wrench on this side and then the impact on the other and remove. So like I said, pretty simple. Just be wary that the swing arm will drop down because it is taking pressure off of the spring, but it's not enough to kill you, so just be cautious of that. But as you guys can see, very simple to remove the one bolt and nut. And so at this point we can pull this down and pull the spring out. Lift up and out, just like so. Now we can swap these parts over to the AST. Here's a comparison of the stock rear versus the new AST. You can tell it's a little bit smaller, but obviously when the car is under load, it will drop even further. So what we are going to do, we are going to reuse the bottom as well as the top here. So we just need to transfer this over to the AST spring. So same as the front, I mentioned this before in my other video, you just want to make sure you read your manufacturer's instructions on how to put the spring in. For AST, the lettering is going to be upside down. So it's contrary to what you think. This is going to be upside down. So this is the bottom of the spring and this is the top of the spring. So when we're transferring this over, you'll see that there are little stops here on the rubber. So this is where the the coil will actually stop. So you just want to make sure you have that properly aligned because that is not correct. This is correct. So you want to have it pushed up against that, and then same thing on the bottom here. Transfer this over and make sure that it's seated properly, just like so. So it's pushed up against there on the end, and then now we can literally go ahead and reinstall. The only thing in terms of alignment, lining the spring, you'll see that the bottom of this rubber has this nub that sticks out. So on the swing arm, this actually goes in one spot. So you know exactly where it's supposed to sit and it won't move around. So now we're ready to reinstall, and I'm gonna get my air jack going here, as well as a block of wood to help push the swing arm back up into place. All right, so putting the spring back in now. Let's see here. All right, so I'm gonna feed it up in here first. And there's a hole up here. You'll see that this giant part of the top hat here in the spring, there's a big hole in the frame up here. So that's where that sits. And then we can slide this in as well. Oh, that may happen as well. All right. Just a matter of aligning things properly. There's just not a lot of room underneath here. There we go. All right. There we go. Sure that this is still aligned. And your spring is sitting against those rubber ends. And you'll see here, this is how it's aligned. So this little rubber nub that's on the bottom of the spring needs to come out of this hole. And at this point we can go ahead and realign this. See, so this is where the jack comes in handy because you're not gonna be able to hold this up on your own. So having a second jack is super beneficial here. And also need a block of wood. I'm using a block of wood here. I'm going to put this right here and start jacking this up. That way I can
it'll help push the swing arm up and allow us to align the bolt. Of course, in the middle of that recording, my camera stopped working. But basically, you pretty much saw everything I needed to do. So all I was using the air jack to lift this to align the hole, and then I put my nut through and tightened it on the back. So literally very, very simple to do. Not much to it other than removing the one bolt and the nut. And aligning that is not super difficult. Again, I had a problem with my KWs, but this one went right back up to where it needed to go, and no issues at all. So, I'm sorry I missed that part, but pretty simple to do. We can go ahead and put the wheel back on and lower the car. I want to apologize for missing the very end of the video there. The camera just stopped working and I wasn't about to take everything back off just to show you guys, because it literally is just putting that bolt back in. So again, process very simple for the rear. It's actually way easier than the front, less time consuming, and all this can be done completely on your own if you're a one-man show like I am most of the time. So I think after some time it'll settle. Obviously it doesn't look like it's that low in the back, but the front has already settled in the last 24 hours. And the rear is going to do the same. So at the end of the video here, I'm going to put some pictures of what it looks like after a few days of it settling, and hopefully I can clean the car up so it's not looking so disgusting. And yeah, I guess I will follow up kind of with you guys as time goes on how these feel. The fronts, I can already tell, are a little stiffer than my KWs, but it's not jarring. It's not, you know, crazy overwhelming. And I mean, look at it. It looks fantastic already. So I'm super excited for it to settle. And I'm super excited to see what these silver TEs look like on the car with a drop. So yeah, if you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns about anything that we've done over the last 2 videos with the AST suspension install, please let me know in the comments below. I'll have a link in the description if you want to order these, as well as a link in the description for the fronts. So if you need that DIY, it'll be in the video description. So anyway, if you guys have any comments, questions, concerns, please let me know. Otherwise, we'll see you guys on the next video. Take care. Thanks for watching. See you then.